What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Dream Little, a podcast that's all about helping you feel confident about your ABDL side so that you can enjoy it with your significant other. Today's show was sponsored by my free online ABDL class. If you'd like to tell your partner about your ABDL side, but you have no idea how to bring up the conversation, explain why you like it, or explain how it's different from pedophilia, this class is for you, my friend. Reserve your seat by heading over to thelittlelounge.com/free class. All right, let's get started. First up, I have a question from an anonymous listener who says, I've had a vanilla girlfriend for a while. I'm a switch, but mainly a daddy, and have been wanting her to get into diapers. I've started by asking her about DDLG things, and she said she'll wear the outfits and she'll call me daddy during sex, but it's obvious she's not truly into it. How do I get her into wanting to dress like that inside and outside of sex? When do I bring diapers into the conversation? And when should I ask if she'll use them? Wow. Okay, so this is a really tough situation to be in, and that's why it's a very difficult question to answer. One thing about this question that really stood out to me is your comment of it's obvious she's not truly into it. Now, don't get discouraged. This doesn't mean that you can't make it work, but it's going to be hard to make someone want something that just doesn't come naturally to them. This is a situation I found myself in as a switch as well. My boyfriend loves playing the daddy role, but he's not comfortable with playing the little side, and it can be a little bit frustrating at times. Since your girlfriend doesn't seem to be completely comfortable with dressing little, I'd say stick to working on that before you move on to anything more advanced, especially something like diapers. But I do want to say really quickly, I think that a lot of girls enjoy being treated like little princesses. So if you can kind of work on that dynamic more so than working on the props and the things associated with it and just help her feel really loved and appreciated in that way, that would be a great way to get things started. This is something I learned with my boyfriend. He's definitely not into ABDL, but he was really open-minded to trying like a cute pair of undies. And that made me really excited, and I wanted to buy him a pair. In my mind, I already knew the exact pair I wanted to get him. But as we scrolled through different products online, it became clear that we weren't seeing eye to eye. Most of the ones that I was picking out were pretty babyish with colorful prints, and the ones that he was picking out were more masculine. They had skulls and crossbones on them, and they were like more grown up. And in the moment, I admit that I lost my patience, and it became a really frustrating point. And what I failed to realize in that moment is that it was really nice of him to go out of his way to try this in the first place. This isn't something he's totally comfortable with, and if I want this to be a positive experience for both of us, I've got to make it feel like that. So we compromised, and I bought him a pair that I normally would not have picked out for him. And that's what relationships are all about. Unfortunately, if your partner doesn't like to do something, you can't force them to like it. All you can do is compromise and try to find a middle ground. I'm not sure what type of little outfit she's agreed to wear, but try asking, what she might enjoy wearing. You might find that she's more of a middle than a little, and she doesn't want to wear too much of like babyish clothes. So in this instance, instead of buying her a onesie with a nursery print with pacifiers on it, meet her halfway and pick out a more adult-like bodysuit. When you make the effort to make your partner feel loved and appreciated for going out of their way, that's really the best way to inspire them to enjoy little space, which might make it happen more often. And that's the exact reason I recommend opening up about ABDL as soon as you know that this person is the right fit for you. If you're ready to say those 3 words and actually mean it, if you're ready to say I love you and actually mean it, then they've got to know about ABDL. They don't need to love it. They just need to know about it, because you don't want to get years into a relationship and realize that this is something you'll never have because your partner could never be interested in it. And by that point, they would feel very left out of the loop, and it would be even more difficult to get them involved. That does happen in relationships, and it's devastating when you really love someone and they're just not interested. But if you tell them early enough in the relationship and they're not okay with it, there's still hope. You still have options. For me, Obviously, I don't want to live my entire life never experiencing playing the mommy role in person. That would just not be ideal for me. So very early on, when I knew TK was not interested in playing the little role, I had a very difficult and honest conversation with him. And I told him that this was important to me. And I asked him, since he's not willing to play that role, if it would be okay if I played with others online and potentially in person. And luckily for me, TK was totally on board with it. And that just reaffirmed that he was the one for me. Even though he doesn't love ABDL as much as I do, he understands that it's important to me. And for that, he's willing to be open-minded. I had this conversation really early in our relationship, and some might think, wow, that seems really risky. And maybe it is, but honestly, I think that it's way more risky to open up later in a relationship when you're really invested and maybe you're even married. Early on, you've got to be completely honest so that you know you're picking the right fit for you. My whole point here is if your partner is clearly not interested in DDLG, don't try pushing the diaper part. Slow play it and come across a middle ground. Find out what she's comfortable with and would she identify more as a middle? What would she be okay with trying? Would she rather play a mommy role or a different role entirely? Just ask some questions and find out some more. Is she flat out not interested in playing at all? If so, can you negotiate with her? Would she be willing to let you play online? Would she be willing to let you hire a professional fantasy facilitator? And if the answer to all of that is still a resounding no, then it's time to do some soul searching and be completely honest with yourself. Can you live with repressing this side of you forever and doing things in secret? It's sad, but it can be a totally reasonable reason to walk away from a relationship when you don't get what you want or you don't feel like you can be your authentic self. And sometimes you might notice when you do walk away and you have the self-confidence and the self-love to walk away from someone who's not right for you, even though it's hard, your partner might realize that they're losing a great thing and they might realize that, your kink isn't such a big deal and maybe they'd be willing to give it a try. It might hurt at first, but after breaking things off, you might even end up meeting the most kinky, amazing soulmate of your dreams and end up experiencing all your fantasies in reality. I hope that was helpful. The next question comes from an anonymous person who says, I recently came out to my girlfriend as an ABDL and she was totally cool with it. We're big on DDLG. And she says she's open to diapers. How do I approach her about physically buying them? How do I get her comfortable enough to use them? And what was your experience like using them around your boyfriend and having him change you? First of all, congratulations on coming out to your girlfriend as ABDL. That is quite the accomplishment and it takes a lot of bravery. So I think that's really awesome that your girlfriend is okay with trying diapers and she seems really open-minded. As for reopening the conversation, I would say just bring it up by discussing the different types of diapers there are out there because there are a lot. Obviously, there are pull-ups, there's ABDL diapers, there's cloth training pants, and more. For beginners, I recommend starting out with pull-ups if you're able to fit into them. Goodnights are really stretchy and they almost feel like regular underwear, so they're a good transition into more kinky products like ABDL stuff. You don't want to ruin your girlfriend's first experience by making them feel uncomfortable in any way. So don't even think or talk about using them like right off the bat. Just let her get used to wearing them. Wedding is a really taboo thing. Of course, if she asks you if you'd like to do that, that's different. You should definitely be honest and tell her the truth. Tell her it would turn you on if she did that, but you don't want to make her feel uncomfortable or pressured in any way. Most people see the wedding part as unhygienic and honestly gross, which is totally understandable. But in order to get her comfortable with wearing, educate her on the different types of diapers, and if she's able to fit in Goodnights, I suggest starting with those. As for my experience with wearing around my boyfriend, well, that was totally awkward. At the time, I didn't know how to communicate it, so I just kind of let it happen. And luckily for me, he was patient and kind about it, but I could tell he was kind of weirded out. So as uncomfortable as it might be to talk about it, just trust me, it will be even more uncomfortable if you don't talk about these things first. It's best to never surprise your partner in any way when it comes to trying new kinks. If you want something, the only way to get it is to be honest and ask. And it's really liberating to admit that something is a little weird, but it's a turn on. So don't be afraid to have a lighthearted approach and, have fun with it. So there you have it, my friend. I hope you found this episode helpful, and I'll see you here on Dream a Little next week.